Hi there, it's Jo coming to you with an update, March 1st of 2014. I can't believe it's already March. It's crazy how fast the time goes. Realized I hadn't posted a video since really August of last year, so just about 6 months ago, a little more than that. And I continue to kind of get messages about subscribers and kind of people sending emails that have watched the videos, kind of looking for an update. So thought it was probably about time. So a bit of my kind of background, I had surgery in May of 2012. I was 250.4 pounds. In August of last year when I posted, so about a year and a half out from surgery, I was pretty stable at 143. I'd kind of bounced maybe down to 141 or up to 145, but was pretty stable. So now I am about 1 year, 10 months out. So I've only got a couple more months till kind of my 2-year surgery date. So I am continuing to be pretty stable at 144, instead of 143. So that kind of stable point's gone up about a pound. I may bounce down to 143 or up to 145, but I'm kind of still hanging at that 144. Over the fall, kind of around like my birthday, and then, which is right before the holidays, and then the holidays, I wasn't eating as well as I typically would, and I wasn't working out. So I got up to maybe 147, maybe even 148 for a couple days, and that was enough to sort of try to get me back on track pretty quickly. And that's a little bit what I wanted to talk about today, is sort of that question of weight gain this far out, and how I'm doing there. So one thing that I've really noticed is it's pretty sensitive. And what I mean about that is I can tell that for me to lose weight, I really do have to be under around maybe 1,300 calories or so a day, which I know for those of you that might be newer, that sounds like a ton of calories. This far out, it's not a ton of calories. I can hit 1,300 really easy. I'd say most days I probably hang out more around 1,500, 1,600. Anything over 16, I'll gain again kind of pretty quickly. And so if you think about that, there's a pretty small range in there, or target, that I have to hit with calories in order to maintain. And so, you know, on average over a week, I probably need to be in that, like, between, call it 13 and 1,600 calories. And I'm kind of ballparking it. I don't know that for sure. It's just sort of a gut sense I have. And so you can imagine that, like, if I'm consuming a couple extra, even like cookies or a bag of chips or something, and I'm doing that every day, it catches up pretty quick. Equally, if I'm working out a little bit even every day, that is a really good way to then maintain, like, to get rid of kind of those extra calories that I might consume. And so I notice a week where I don't work out, or God forbid, a couple weeks where I don't work out, I will see it on the scale pretty quick. It doesn't take long, which, you know, for me is good. It's sort of a reminder, like, I can pretty quickly figure out, ooh, I've gone off the rails a little bit. But it really does mean that the habits you build in the first couple of years are so important, because it just becomes really easy to start to gain it back. And so I'm definitely no saint when it comes to kind of eating and working out. I see a lot of people that are doing it much better than me. And I am aware that that's something I really am going to have to try to do better on the long term. Because I've just seen it is pretty easy to start to gain a few pounds back. And even if I were to gain only 5 pounds a year, which, you know, if a year from now I'm 148, I think people would be like, oh, that's not that much. But if you gain 5 pounds every year for the next 10 years, you know, all of a sudden I'm starting to get back to be pretty heavy again. So, habits. You know, I read recently someone had posted on a Facebook group that I'm on, for people that were sleeved around the same time. Their nutritionist kind of had guidance for, like, this time period, and it really is like, are you tracking your calories? So, you know I have to hit around 1,500 to not gain, and I need to be under 1,300 to lose. And so it's important that I know how many calories I'm taking on. So continuing to track, which I've kind of let go, is something that I need to get back to. Carbs are still a killer for me. You know, I've found myself going back to having like a bag of chips here and there, cookies, not so much bread or pasta, but kind of that snack food stuff. And I just don't have a lot of control over it. And so that would be kind of another thing for people to watch is, you know, because it's such a short range to kind of avoid weight gain or to try to achieve weight loss, I have to stay away from the things that are hard for me to control. So it's okay, I think, in a day, you know, once a week or a couple times a week to have a little splurge item. And I mean little. But when there are things that like I can't restrict myself to a time, you know, once or twice a week, that's where I really see I get in trouble. So, you know, like saltine crackers in the house or any kind of chips, any kind of carbs, popcorn, that kind of stuff, I really can't help myself. And so I find it's really dangerous to have that stuff in the house. Even though it wouldn't necessarily kill me to have it like a day here, a day there, I'll have it every day. And so that's pretty tricky. You know, the working out thing as well, I can just really, really see it in the scale when I'm not at least 2 or 3 times a week getting into the gym, whether that's, I kind of do like light weights and a little bit of cardio. So it's not a lot, but for me, it's a bunch of little things that if you're letting slip really add up quickly on the scale. The other thing that I've just noticed really impacts my weight gain is alcohol. So I love a glass of wine. And I was finding that I went from like a glass of wine, you know, once a week on a Friday or Saturday night at home to having it probably more nights than not. So, you know, say 4 times a week. And I would have a few glasses. Well, that's calories that then I'm consuming. And interestingly for me, when I drink, it seems to lower kind of my control around eating those foods I shouldn't have. And so I wouldn't just have the wine, which is extra calories. I would have wine with crackers and cheese, or wine with chocolate, or wine with popcorn. And so at night, like those calories would add up, and I really was seeing it come through on the scale. And so I stopped drinking at home. You know, I may still have like a drink when I'm out, but I've cut it back. And you know, on like a really rough day, I might still have a glass of wine at the end of it to sort of relax, but it's pretty rare. That actually seems to be helping me stay back in that range. So just really interesting, like all the little things I've noticed. And so if there's one piece of advice I could give, it's just be aware. I think we start to really get in trouble when we're not kind of tuned in to like what's happening in our lives, how is that playing out in what we're kind of putting in our mouths, how we're exercising, and how is that landing on the scale. So all in all, you know, I feel really good, feel like I'm doing really well, but really aware of how quickly things can turn. As far as what I've seen in others, like on the Facebook group that I'm on with people who are sleeve the same month as me, it seems pretty typical for people to have gained back maybe 10 pounds or so from their lowest. And so while I've been fortunate enough not to end up there, I can absolutely see how it's easy. I think if I went like a full month or even 2 months of not paying attention and not being aware, I think I easily could be up 5-10 pounds. And it's just something I've said it before. To me, a lot of the food stuff is very much an addiction once you get to be quite heavy. And so I think you have to look at it. Maybe you don't. I have to look at it that way of I will always have to be aware of what I'm eating, how much, why. I just don't think that will ever go away. And I think the days when I stop paying attention to that, and God forbid that turns into months or years, you know, I think I would be back up. So that's it. I just wanted to give an update. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope you find it helpful. Love to hear your comments and your questions, and talk to you guys soon. Thanks. Bye.